How astrological triplicities interact with their children. As you know, the triplicities are fire, water, air, and earth. So we're going to start with the air triplicity. Children love air signs rising. I'll tell you that right up front. Air signs are very sociable. They take an interest in people. They take the time out to talk to them and get to know them. And they almost never raise their voices. I bet you didn't know that. They are cool, calm, and collected. Too cool for school. And they do everything in their power to facilitate communication. So they like being around people. And children are just little people to them. And they will do. They can start out by saying, "What did you do today?" And the child is giggling and squealing and happy to have an adult show him attention. Air signs rising are master conversationalists. They can run rings around you in conversation. They can talk anyone under the table, and the child never has to worry about what to say next because the air sign rising has it covered. They also can do a squirrely kind of logic that can fluster and tease a child. But the kid loves it because it's entertaining and it's all in good fun. Air sign rising parents often know the names of all the children's friends, and it's not too far out of the realm for them to have their phone numbers as well. And there's a good chance they've met their parents. They frequently host their children's friends at their house. They will play board games with children, especially Gemini, because Gemini loves games. They are your den mothers and Little League coaches. They can be very active in their children's lives and often be best friends with them. They tend to be highly supportive and proud of their children. Their kids know they are free to talk with them on any subject. Well, who can beat a class act like that? The water signs. Water signs rising are king when it comes to family. That's what they live for. That's why they were put on this earth. They're proud to be a father or mother. They dote on their children. They talk like this. "Oh, you'll never guess what funny thing little Johnny said today." Or, "Oh, that Heather, she's going to be a knockout when she grows up. She's so cute." Yeah, water signs rising tend to be all goo goo gaga, and they may speak well of their children in front of company, and the child within hearing distance may smile and glow. Water signs rising tend to indulge the child in anything he needs, fussing over him, catering to him, but sometimes they could spoil him or overfeed him. They are likely to give a child too generous an allowance. I have seen some parents do the child's homework for him if the assignment was too tough. They can be extremely overindulgent in their children, and it's not unusual for the kid to have a parent wrapped around his finger. The parents are always there for the kid, highly protective, and when the child leaves the nest, there can be a big hole in the parent's life because most of his life was concentrated on raising his children. It can be hard to move on, and the parent constantly tries to keep the child in his life by requesting the child visit him. But often the child has no problem leaving the nest because he can feel smothered. But they will always know they are loved. I don't know too much about the earth signs rising, except they are very much opposite the indulgent water signs rising in that they tend to be more disciplined and demanding. Capricorn rising is especially strict, and it seems as though they prepared the children to think about what they're going to do with their lives when they come of age. They encourage the child to get good grades and plan on college and hit the books and not waste their lives on frivolous endeavors and not waste their money on foolish expenditures. They can teach their children practical skills. I know one Virgo rising dad who showed his son how to change the transmission fluid in the car. These people are very practical and want to be proud of their children, especially Capricorn. But if Capricorn rising isn't proud of you, you probably know it. And now we come to the fire signs rising. As parents, they are not. They don't normally get too involved in their children's lives. In fact, the more fire in the chart, the less likely they will want to raise children. I don't care what the rising sign is. Fire signs rising lead adventuresome lives. They are frequently into their careers. They want time for recreation, such as playing golf or tennis, and have time out for a gym to keep fit. They just don't have time for caretaking children. They love life and want to make the most of it and want to have all the time to themselves. If they have children, it's understood that the partner will take on the responsibility of caretaking them. Now, this may be ideal for fire-influenced men to let the women caretake the children, but it's not ideal for women with a lot of fire planets, and they would be the ones to choose a career over raising children. Let's look at some examples. Let's start with Sarah Boone with fire sign Aries rising and Saturn in the fire sign Leo in her 5th house with no aspects. It's almost cemented that she's going to have little to do with children. She used her son like a prop. If her son was around when she was calling the police on George Torres, she'd trot the boy out to quickly point out she's a wholesome, self-sacrificing, dutiful mother. To ingratiate herself with the police, she would inject her son whenever possible to make her case. But in reality, she would often shirk her duty to take her share of custody when it was her turn. Fire signs rising can use their children as props. Which brings us to Tom Cruise, who, as I have said, does not have Scorpio rising. He comes up Leo rising. If he actually had Scorpio rising, wild horses couldn't keep him from his children. But Leo rising is another matter. Tom Cruise seems to have used his adopted children as props. So if you've seen the Tom Cruise explanation video, it tells you why he and Nicole likely adopted the 2 children. For the full explanation, go see the video. There's a link below. But in a nutshell, I believe he adopted the children to come across as a happily married family man in order to get the paparazzi off his back so that he wouldn't have to explain why the current ranking heartthrob wasn't out chasing skirts. When his adopted daughter Isabella got married, Tom was not at the wedding. Many fathers look forward to the day they can proudly walk their daughters down the aisle. But Isabella said she was fine with it, probably because she knew her father just couldn't be bothered. When Katie Holmes made off with Surrey in the dead of night to escape Scientology, everyone thought now Tom Cruise will likely leave Scientology because the cult dictates that he cannot communicate with any family members who are not Scientologists, and he would certainly want to be with his child. And yet Tom Cruise did no such thing, much to the shock of the masses. But this turned out to be a fortunate event for Cruise because now he had the perfect excuse not to see his daughter. He didn't show up for her high school graduation, her 18th birthday. Tom Cruise doesn't want to be bothered with family obligations. All he cares about is his career, stunt work, flying planes, and has Scientology found him a new girlfriend yet? There they are, with Prop 1 and Prop 2. Next, we move on to Sagittarius rising Kim Kardashian. Paris Hilton called out Kim, saying she's a lousy mother. Kim dumps the kids on a nanny while she tends to her store. When there's a photo shoot, the nanny is hustled into a closet. Kim would be reintroduced to her children, and they would pose for the pictures. When the photographer leaves, the nanny is hoisted out of the closet, and the children are dumped on her. Another reason she may have had 4 prop children could be that It ingrains herself deeper into the marriage with Kanye West, so that when there's a divorce, she would derive greater benefits from the divorce proceedings. She spends $100,000 a month on nannies who claim they are overworked with excessive hours. Now, in all fairness, Paris Hilton herself has Sagittarius rising. She's a mom. It seems fire signs rising can wait until they're retiring before they seriously commit themselves to raising children. Princess Di had Sagittarius rising, and she was considered a wonderful mother. Yeah, when she wasn't out gallivanting around the world with all her royal speaking engagements.
Did you know as a young boy the depth of her work that she was doing?
I knew a fair bit of it, mainly because she'd come back with all these stories and full of excitement and just passion for what she'd been doing. And I sort of used to sit there as quite a sort of, surprised little boy at the time, sort of taking it all in.
Yeah, rouse up the kids, get them dressed, get them down to the airport. Their mother's back in town. We've got to do that photo shoot the public never seems to tire of, with Diana crouched down, arms outstretched, and the kids come barreling into her. Even when Diana died, she was out of town. Well, maybe she just wanted to get away from that castle, what with talk of eating babies, Satanism, vampirism, pedophilia, Indian children missing from a picnic. Charles wants to be a tampon. It must have given her the willies to be in that family. In the Munsters TV show, with all the freaks and ghouls there, Marilyn was considered the plain one. That's Princess Di in that House of Dracula. She was the plain one. So what good are fire signs rising in the reproductive scheme of things? They're good for stud service. There can be a certain excellence about fire signs rising, so it's no wonder they're so egotistical. They tend to stand out in some way. It's usually a fire sign rising that plays a superhero. Fire signs are athletic, charismatic, unintimidated, and generally make their mark in the world. So nature says it's good that these people pass on their genes as much as possible. While they don't have much time to spend with the little darlings, they can make some remarkable babies. Someone else can do the caretaking. Oprah Winfrey, who comes up with a fire sign that's Leo, not Sagittarius, never had children. No, she's too busy running her empire. Or should I say kingdom. Even Virgo rising Madonna had and raised her own children. Even Michael Jackson insisted on having children. He raised them himself without the help of a spouse. He didn't want one. This tells me there's a very good chance he had a water sign rising. Michael Jackson's horoscope is difficult to rectify because many events seem to sink into both a Virgo rising and a Pisces rising chart. All his life he had been put down as Virgo, but then later it was changed to Pisces. The fact that he was so nurturing and hands-on with his children makes me lean toward a water sign rising. So there are people with big careers who are willing to take the time out to raise their own children. You can tell a lot about a person's rising sign just by observing the way he interacts with his kids. Take Colin Farrell. He has 2 sons, one of them autistic.
My God, James's first steps, I'll never forget James's first steps. 2 weeks short of his 4th birthday. 2 weeks short of his 4th birthday. And we were in the house we lived in at the time, and Deborah, who's amazing, who was here yesterday. I mean, James's team, as I say, they've been in his life for 18 years. They love him so much. Deborah came upstairs, and I knew that they were working on walking, and she came upstairs and she said, James has something to show you. And she said, go over there, and I stood over there, and she had him, and she let him go, and he just came.
He has a wonderful attitude about his son's autism and puts it in the best light possible. Who would have thought Colin Farrell would be such a great dad? Colin's public horoscope shows Capricorn rising. Does he seem to act strict and demanding with his kids? I rectified his chart long time ago, and he comes up Scorpio rising. That's a water sign. No wonder he's fawning all over his kids.
You have actually finally taken some time off, because you have been doing just one project after another. And
Yeah, I was back to back for the longest time. Last year, I think I worked about a month. I was gainfully unemployed for 11.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It
fantastic.
was lovely. I was just home with the boys. But it's hard because I travel, 6 or 7 months of the year on average, and then it's tough on them, it's tough on me. I miss them so much, so you just get home and get in their faces to the point where they were actually sick of looking at me. Truly.
No.
Truly. One of them packed my bag when I finally left, and the other one was waiting with the passport at the front door, saying, "Don't be a stranger, Daddy.
Oh, no.
Please be a stranger, Daddy."
How old are they now?
And do you think when the kids said it was time to go, it was because maybe they felt a little bit smothered? Cancer rising Ben Affleck and Cancer rising Kanye West both bought houses closer to their children to make it more convenient to daily co-parent their kids, especially for taking them to school and back.
Ben Affleck's welcoming a new chapter, one that's much closer to his ex-wife, Jennifer Garner.
I really admire her.
The Oscar winner purchasing a new $20.5 million home in Los Angeles amid rumors of a split from wife Jennifer Lopez. A source tells ET Ben really likes his new home and feels hopeful about the change. He wanted to move and be closer to Jen Garner and their kids to make co-parenting easier.
Because earlier this week, Monday, when I went to go pick my kids up from school, the security stopped me at the gate. So at that point, security was in between me and my children. And that's what was not finna happen. But I didn't want to argue about it. So I just chilled, took my kids to school, and then took my kids back. I'm driving them as I bring them back, and North is like, "Yo, I want you to come upstairs and see something." And it's like, "Oh, Daddy can't come inside."
Cancer rising Woody Harrelson said on David Letterman he did not want his child going to college just yet because he wants her to stay at home for another year. He wasn't ready to see her go. Aren't these water signs rising too much? Let's look at some fire signs rising. Aries rising Janine Garofalo, never had children. Aries rising David Spade, never had children. Aries rising Bethany Frankel was 39 when she married Jason Hoppy and later had one child. She said marrying Hoppy was Andy Cohen's idea, who produced Real Housewives of New York, and who's to say having the child wasn't just fodder for her own reality series with Jason called Bethany Ever After. Therefore, the child may have been conceived as a prop. Then there's Aries rising Phil Spector, who adopted twin boys to make his wife want to stay home. He was abusive to all three of them, and the twins were used as props. Leo rising, both Olsen twins, no children. They're too busy running their fashion empire, or kingdom. Sagittarius rising, Winona Ryder, no children. And you can go on and on. And here you thought Leo was big on children. So in summary, fire signs rising either have a spouse who does the caretaking, or they commit to one child late in life, or they have reasons to have children to be used as props, or they provide stud service, or they have no children at all. See you in the next video.